This Thanksgiving week, Zootopia 2 hits theaters, so let's talk about it. Hi, my name is Sean, and I love to talk about movies and TV way too much. With that in mind, go ahead and join me down below in the comments section. Let me know what's your excitement level for Zootopia 2, and if you've seen it, what did you think about it? Now, I was able to take my girls to go see the movie. Afterwards, I asked both Karis and Chloe what they thought about it. I'll share their thoughts on the movie at the end of the review so you can hear the perspective of children in the target demographic. And let's get started with the good. And I went into this movie with fairly modest expectations. Now, the first Zootopia, I've always enjoyed it, like a lot of people. But it has a pretty special place in my heart because it's the first movie that Liam and Chloe ever saw in the theater. So it's special for our family for that reason. But the trailers for this movie didn't really have any specific hook, which kind of sold me on why this movie would be fresh and new and not just a remix of the first film. But I'm happy to say I had a really good time with this film. It's very funny. It was able to just consistently have laugh out loud gags pretty much from beginning to end. Whether it's the big obvious jokes, which there's no shortage of those, but maybe even more importantly, the whole movie just has a world of sight gags in the background. That because of the nature of Zootopia, there's just all of these little bits. If a car drives by, you want to look at the license plate to see what it says. If you drive by a sign, you want to pause to see what it says. There's always something else in the frame that's interesting and amusing. It just makes for a viewing experience where you're very attentive. Your eyes are on the screen, paying attention to the plot, to the jokes, but also to the details all throughout the entire movie. And that was almost my biggest takeaway, is how much I just enjoyed how full the frames were of things to pay attention to. But like I said, the big jokes, the ones that you put in the trailer, the ones that are actually at the center of the sequences, also had a really good rate of laugh out loud humor. Some of that is there's quite a few kind of references all throughout the movie, and we'll talk more about that in the bad. Some of that wasn't so great. But some of the times where they did little reference jokes, there's one where they're just in a chase, and I think they like run through a cafeteria that's so funny that everyone in the theater was just laughing out loud. And so just, you go to a movie like this to laugh. Ultimately, it absolutely did its job in that regards. Of course, one of the key ingredients here is just the fun chemistry between our two leads. And just like before, they're very charming on screen, but they actually do evolve the connection, the relationship between the two of them, where, obviously in the first one, he's, sketchy as can be and trying to build trust between the two of them. And in this one, like, it doesn't just kind of rehash that dynamic, that they're actual partners now. And he still has that skill set, but he's moved past who he was before. And we've moved past the, hey, we can't trust you. And they find kind of new angles in the way that they work together to kind of continue to keep it interesting, to have tension there, but tension coming from a very different source and coming from different strengths and weaknesses of each of them, and ways in which each of their strengths, when applied incorrectly, turns into a weakness and can have flaws and have consequences for other people. And so you care about their two leads and their journey and the way that each of them are growing, evolving, figuring themselves out. How that affects the other person matters in the film. So you're just invested in those two main characters. Ke Huy Quan continues his post-Oscar hot streak where he shows up as our snake character. And between the just design of the character, and in particular the snake's eyes, and then his voice, you just really feel sorry for him. Like, you believe him almost instantly, and there's a sincerity to him that is very, I don't even know the right word for it, but you immediately are on his side and can believe that they would switch directions in kind of the context of the way things play with just the earnestness of the way he communicates things and says things. And I think for that reason, the final reveals, when things start to come together in the end and we start to unpack the mysteries and everything like that, this one I felt had a more satisfying emotional payoff in the end. And so much of that goes back to we're just so connected and care so much about this character's journey and what he's trying to do and what it means for him and the other reptiles that you just really feel something in the end. It's not just, now I know who did it. Okay, I've seen the final twist. But there's a good emotional hook inside of it. And that goes back to, like I said, so much of it is the character design, the work with the eyes, and then what he's able to communicate and emote through his voice. This continues to be a movie that plays off the buddy cop tropes and even the way that kind of sequels tend to work in buddy cop franchises and the way that the things get turned on their heads. So we still have the investigation. We still got a conspiracy. We got elements where people are on the run. And so there's just something to that stands out in the world of Disney animated films because it's just an interesting blend of genres that you take something very familiar over here and then you take everything you love about Disney animated movies, cute animals, lively voiced cast, lots of humor, and merge the two together. That in and of itself is fresh, and they're continuing to go deeper into that path. And so that formula, that merger, really works here. Today's video is brought to you by HelloFresh. You may have heard of HelloFresh. They're the #1 meal kit in America, making home cooking easier with chef-crafted recipes and fresh ingredients delivered right to your front door. But this fall, they're serving up even more of what you love. They're bigger, healthier, and tastier. HelloFresh has doubled its menu. Now you can choose from 100 options each week. Feel great with an even healthier menu. This one's big for me because I watch what I eat pretty carefully. Choose from 15 plus high protein recipes each week with options like grass-fed ribeyes or lamb chops. HelloFresh now helps you eat greener with new veggie-packed recipes. This next one's my favorite. Get steak and seafood recipes delivered every week for no extra cost. Now with 3 times the seafood options. I'm a low-carb, high-protein kind of guy, so I love to hear that. I use HelloFresh, and you should too. The best way to cook just got better. Go to HelloFresh.com/SeanChandler10FM now to get 10 free meals plus free breakfast for life. 1 per box with active subscription. Free meals applied as discount on the first box. New subscribers only. Varies by plan. That's HelloFresh.com/SeanChandler10FM to get 10 free meals plus free breakfast for life. As I mentioned at the beginning, I went into this movie with fairly modest expectations, and some of that is simply that, like Moana 2 last year, felt like exactly what it was. They converted a Disney Plus TV show into a movie fairly late in its development. And it felt like that while you were watching the movie, that it was a desperation play on Disney's part. That's not what you feel watching this movie. This feels like they really knew what they wanted to do with these characters, where they wanted to take things, and most importantly, they made a movie that makes you laugh and it makes you feel something. Not everything fully works, and there were some things that maybe were a bit familiar. So let's move on to the mixed aspects of the film. And the big thing I wanted to talk about here isn't a good or a bad thing. It's just to answer a question that people always ask about movies like this. Does Zootopia 2 have a post-credit scene? Yes, and it is an actual post-credit scene. Once the credits are done, there is a sequence afterwards. It's largely just a little bit of a gag paying off something earlier in the movie that's just mildly amusing, and then it is a tease for something in the future. So you leave the movie being like, oh, what are you doing? What are you planning on doing with that? It's not like the biggest laugh in the movie. It's not the biggest, flashiest of teases, but it happens and you go, oh, I see what you're setting up here. One of those post-credit scenes. So if you're a big fan of this franchise and are interested in where things might be headed, you want to stick around until the end. With that said, let's move on to the bad. And the big thing here is that there's just a lot about the movie that feels very familiar. Absolutely delivers laughs. That's ultimately its job. It delivers emotion. It makes you feel something. That's the movie's job. But the kind of actual plot itself and the fundamentals all basically play the same. Once again, it is a story about prejudice in Zootopia. Once again, it is a conspiracy at the core, the foundation of Zootopia that needs to be unfolded. And, there's just certain beats that kind of happen that you're expecting it. So you can just kind of predict where things are headed simply because it's using the exact same playbook in the exact same manner. It plays the playbook really well, but it is familiar. It's not just completely fresh and new with the nature of the film, the plot, or anything like that. It sticks to what worked in the first movie. Let's do something like that again. It changes it up a little bit in the details and the direction and brings some new tropes over from the buddy cop genre. It does. But a lot of it felt like we're right in our familiar wheelhouse. The other one is I just felt that there were just way too many references. A couple of them were really funny. There's one in particular that I was like, I loved that joke. That was really good. But a high percentage of other jokes in the movie just felt like them pausing to be like, hey, remember Disney has other stuff? Like there's a point in time where someone is like sitting on their couch and they like open up their TV and it's basically the Disney Plus screen, except with the name of it is some animal pun. And then all of the titles are just parodies of movies that Disney owns with an animal pun as the title. And that like there was one about like the very famous poster for Alien, and it's whatever it is, a pun, animal pun. And when you do that once, it's funny. But they do that same bit and it just felt like Disney pointing at themselves too much. And there's one in the middle that's really clever. And if they'd just done the one, it'd be like, yeah. But before they even did the one, they just did a bunch of these other ones that were significantly less clever and too self-referential, too like pat yourself on the back, meta references that kind of rely on the audience going, I know what that is. I get it. And it's its own version of like nostalgia baiting, but it's like familiarity baiting. And I don't know, just a little bit off-putting to me at the level at which it happened in the movie. Chloe, what'd you think about it?
I actually really like Zootopia 2, which was quite surprising to me because it's not only a Disney movie, but a sequel to a Disney movie that came out 5+ years ago. But it was actually really good. I like the plot of it a lot. I think it's really interesting, and I like the mystery element to it. Because I feel like the first one, like, it was a mystery, but I feel like this one was more mysterious, you know? There's also a lot of jokes in it, which I liked, but if you don't like jokes left and right all around you, then there's a lot of those.
Karis, what'd you think about the movie?
I think it was pretty good. I liked the songs, especially the first one. I think it's real good.
What's your favorite character?
The snake.
You like the snake?
Yeah.
What part did you like the most?
End.
The end?
Because it's the best. Some sad parts, and I did like one of the outfits that the police officer Bunny weared. It's real pretty.
At the ball?
Yes.
Where she dressed pretty?
Yes.
And you want me to pull your ears up over your head now? Oh, just thought I'd ask.
These are small ears, not bunny ears.
Well, we can probably fix that. Should people go see this movie?
Yes.
Yes.
Go check it out. Real quick before I give you my final thoughts, be sure to join me down below in the comments section. Let me know, what did you think about Zootopia 2? And if you're a big Disney fan, animation fan, I've done a ton of rankings and coverage of Disney, Pixar, DreamWorks, the other animation studios. You can check out those different rankings and stuff right up here in this playlist. If you're a big Zootopia fan, you're going to have a good week at the movies. This is a very solid follow-up to the original film. Maybe a little bit familiar in the general flow of things, maybe a few too many references for my taste, but if you love these two characters, you're going to love them even more, and you're going to really like this guy right here as well. And it absolutely made me laugh out loud and feel something. They delivered a solid sequel. Overall, it's a B+ on the entertainment scale, 7.5 out of 10. And go see it. In particular, if you're a Zootopia fan, I guess it's a must-see film, but you were going to go see it anyway. This is a good Disney sequel. Thank you so much for watching, and keep talking movies and TV too much. Bye-bye.